Here we are on a Monday, June 29th, 2020. It's hot. Shit's fucking weird.
It's hot as fuck, y'all.
I love you all like family, and just like family, I hate you just a little bit. This is Bouncing Brains. I'm Sean Hatfield.
And I'm Freddy G. How the fuck are y'all doing, man? Are y'all still alive and shit? I mean, of course, right? If you listen to this shit, you're alive for the most part.
If not, heaven's got bomb Wi-Fi.
Yeah, man. So before we continue, as always, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to let y'all know that this episode of The Bouncing Brains has been brought to you by Rockstar. If you ever feel like shit, kind of like I feel today, crack open a Rockstar and you'll feel a lot less shitty and hopefully more like a rockstar. Rockstar. Send your checks to the Bouncing Brains headquarters down in deep South Texas. I ain't giving you motherfuckers my address.
I want to buy a suit just so I can go in their office and tell them that fucking slogan. Be like, all right. Rockstar. You feel less shitty.
Rockstar, people, is good for you, so you can stay awake for about an hour.
Horrible on your pocketbook. Unless you can get them discount fucking bulk, buy it in a case, take it home, stock up like you fucking, some prepper in the woods with beans.
There's a case of 30 for $34.
Where are you finding those?
On Amazon.
Oh shit, dude! Yeah. The last time I tried to go, I'm
gonna ask you some real shit, and I'm gonna put you on the spot, and you can say hard no if you don't want to. But it's a real simple question. You want to go half and half on one of those bitches? I'll definitely go half and half until we get this fucking sponsorship, man. Shit.
Oh man, y'all gonna tune into this one day. There's just gonna be like a rack back here with like Spam and beans, a bunch of fucking rock stars. We'll be sitting here, fucking shotguns in hand. Now. Don't y'all come around here.
Yeah, man. For real, man. At $35, if we go half on that,
that's not a bad deal at all.
Yeah, and I mean, but if we do this shit, we gotta have strict rules. Whether you take them with you or whether you leave them here. The rule is, and we got to be very fucking strict, and this applies to me because this is my house too. We can only drink out of that 30-pack when we film. So
send us your comments.
So that like that, you don't feel like, hey, motherfucker, well, you have them here with you. Like, you drink most of them because I don't even come to your house on a daily basis like that. And I wouldn't fuck you over like that, Sean. I mean, I'm an asshole, man, but
you're just trying to add one more thing I got to do to set this shit up when we record. Like, now I got to take inventory on the fucking energy drinks? Motherfucker. I'm already running sound and audio.
Yeah, man.
Sound and audio. What the fuck, man? You thought your fucking head was scattered. Sound and audio.
Oh, shit. That
fucking thing, man.
That fucked me up too, man. I'm sorry, y'all. I need to get a hold of a fucking insurance company. If y'all could give me a good insurance company that can help a brother out, you know what I'm saying? We dealing. I'm not ashamed to say it. We dealing right now with State Farm. They feel they're not getting a good deal with State Farm. So I'm trying to get a hold of a friend that used to work for Allstate. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to get these messages out the way real quick. I do apologize for that. As I was telling Sean before we came on, I've been doing like fucking 10 things at once. I've been up since 5 in the morning. I'm on like my 15th-ish one Rockstar. So if y'all see me pass out, may the show continue and just check on me, make sure I'm still breathing, is all I'm saying.
You got a stick in here I can just keep over on this side? I ain't got to get up?
Yeah, pretty much. Nah, man, but yeah, I've been, dealing with this shit all day and some other shit, so I'm trying to hold it together. Hopefully I can go to sleep early today as well. I mean, hopefully I can go to sleep early so I can get some rest, because I got to be up early tomorrow. But how you been, man? How's that? How's that? I don't want to talk about it on this episode, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. But let's not elaborate. But how's that coronavirus treating you so far? Is it still playing cat and mouse? Kind of like Chappelle said, I've been playing cat and mouse with herpes for 32 years.
Yeah. Nah, hey man, I'm dodging bullets, but I'm not fucking standing in the middle of the firing range, man. I am starting to get to that point, man, where like I do notice when people don't have the, like, you know, like when this shit first started, like you would notice when people had the mask on, you were like, oh shit, motherfucker's got a mask on.
Yeah.
Now I do notice when I'm seeing people's faces, it's like, oh, okay, like, especially inside. Like, I mean, outside, I don't give a shit. If the wind's blowing, you're good. I mean, don't go fucking French kissing nobody you don't fucking have a, record for, but, by all means.
Now that they added some more fucking, symptoms related to that shit too. Now it's like fucking, if you have constant diarrhea. Basically, honestly, man, I ain't even bullshitting with you. Go look at the added symptoms for the COVID-19, and I shit you not. After you do that, Google the symptoms for AIDS, and you're gonna fucking find. I'm just saying, you know what I'm saying?
Motherfucker.
Yeah,
You're just trying to fuck with people's heads right now, aren't you, man?
compare the both of them motherfuckers, and you're gonna be like, shit. Yeah, man. So it's fucking getting crazy out there. So just make sure y'all can stay safe and shit.
They said they updated this shit just recently, but this still says May 13th on the CDC website.
No, they've updated that since then.
All right, which one were you? Because I'm trying to find the CDC because they're the ones that.
Yeah, the
right,
CDC one.
blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think I read it on Business Insider initially, but then I confirmed with CDC.
I got all this shit saying like, hold on, here we go. All right, fever, cough, shortness of breath, muscle aches, fatigue, sore throat, chills, headaches, runny nose, abdominal pain, discomfort, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. Yeah, those were already there.
No, diarrhea wasn't there.
Nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea weren't there?
No, those weren't there. They were not there, brother.
Hey, man, as a current drinker.
And then another thing, man. Fuck, I said I wasn't going to go into this shit, Sean. Fuck. But another thing.
Bullet points, motherfucker. Bullet points.
Yeah, bullet points. Exactly. Another thing, dude. They're finding out that they used to say that asymptomatic people, in other words, people that don't feel shit if you catch it, y'all are not out of the dark. Like, y'all are not out of the woods with that shit. They're thinking that people that are asymptomatic, it can be worse for them. Because what happens is, and I have a story to back it up with, but what they're finding out is that people that are asymptomatic, they could all of a sudden just drop. Just like out of the blue, just drop and then they... So, the story that I have to back it up with is, I don't know if you saw that video that just surfaced online. I don't know I think it was last week. D.O. Hewley, he passed out on stage.
No, didn't see that one.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that he was being treated.
Yeah, well, I saw the video where he just kind of, like, he started slurring his words, like, really bad. So they thought that, like, maybe cause somebody said that he had been drinking, right? So they were like, well, maybe he had a little bit too much to drink. But the video looks, you can tell that something was horribly wrong because he just kind of, I think he begins to feel himself that there's something wrong. So he started looking for the stool. Mm. So he barely made it to the stool. And then he just slouched. And you can just see his manager, like a bullet, like charged towards him. And he caught him from behind. And he collapsed on the floor. So anyway, fast forward. He got admitted to the ER, checked him out, whatever. He didn't know that he had COVID-19. So they screened him for that. He came out positive. They also told him that because he was like, I didn't have any symptoms. I'm good. I was perfectly fine. No fever, no cough, no nothing. He's like, oh, well, Mr. Hewley, because now they can tell when they test you, they can tell if you're asymptomatic or if you're somebody that can feel symptoms or not. They have I think they call it it's some sort of test that and it's within a trial.
Well, I know they can tell more or less how long you've had it, or at least whatever, like if you've had it and then, it went away and then you had it again, like you wouldn't be able to tell that you'd had it before because the antibodies go away. But you will be able to tell how long you have had it on the current round.
So then they told him, well, you have you have COVID-19, and he's like, oh shit, well, I didn't. He was like, well, you're asymptomatic, and they said that basically, it caught up with him, like the virus got to invade his body so much that it caught up, and that's why it caused him the faint. But they also explained to him that a lot had to do with it. That key point that's been brought up by a few real medical professionals. Now they are starting to see that if you don't sleep well and you catch it, you're gonna catch hell when you catch it. There's something about your body's rest that has to do a lot with you being able to recover if you catch the COVID-19.
Just to jump in here real quick, man, I have been noticing, and this is one of those, maybe a side benefit from all of us having to go through this bullshit, but I have been noticing, like, sometimes, man, you wake up in the morning, maybe you didn't drink enough water the next, day before, you can feel that you're dry, you know what I mean? Maybe you're having that little morning clearing the throat and all that shit, maybe one nostril's kind of clogged up, whatever. Usually, man, I spent so many years as a goddamn fucking, heavy drinker and all that shit that climbing out of bed feeling like shit was just like normal.
It was normal, yeah.
Yeah. And I have.
When you didn't feel like that, you were like, is there something wrong?
Whatever I did, I got to do that shit again. Yeah, I have noticed myself taking a little more notice of that. Like, if I feel, you know what I mean? Like, because I stopped smoking cigarettes again. I know I'd said a couple weeks ago that I'd stop, but I fucking jump right back on that shit because, dude, I'll tell you what it was, man. And this goes to like this whole argument of like,
Sean, do you have a problem
with cigarettes? Mm-hmm. I've been smoking I've been smoking tobacco longer than I've been smoking weed, man. And we discussed how long I've been smoking weed on the last episode. Yeah, man, I like nicotine. There's a reason I fucking hit this thing like a fucking, a metal nipple, not a metal dick. There's nothing positive comes out of a dick. Well, that's not entirely true. We were talking about AIDS earlier.
There is the first step to recovery, Sean, is just
admitting you have a problem. I never had a problem admitting that I had a problem. But no, I am weaning off of cigarettes. I bummed a couple the other night. Yes, I have been out to a bar, you moralistic fucking crusaders. Yeah, I was at the open mic down at the spot on Thursday, bummed a couple smokes. But
so
what I was saying was, you cough up the phlegm, you know what I mean? Little fucking tar wads, all that shit. So I've been going through that where especially since I'm staying hydrated, everything just like, I'd wake up in the morning and just, like, ugh, shit. Like the filter just got cleaned out.
Yeah.
So I was going through that and scared the shit out of me a couple mornings. So I'm just saying, man, like the awareness of just like little things, muscle pain, fucking all that stuff, like anything. If I lift some weights the day before, like the next morning, I'm going, all right, is that the same? Was I doing that yesterday?
Yeah,
like there's a little more caution involved in the upkeep of the body. I think that's a good thing.
Well, that brings me to my next point that I was gonna make. I've made my appointment. I'm about to get tested again on Wednesday, and I mean not because there's something wrong with me or I feel anything. It's just I've been saying this, or at least I've been telling Sean. I don't know if I've shared this on the podcast, but because I have my little girl's birthday party coming up. and we are making it smaller and smaller by the minute as far as people. Thank God that I finally got through that to her mom. So our list of people are getting smaller, which I like that. But I just want to take the extra precautionary measure to just make sure that I don't have it, so that if I do have it, I don't give it to anybody that's there.
You heard about that? I think that was up in Massachusetts. I may be wrong on that. Again, leave a comment. But that family had a get together. I think it was somebody's.
Oh, the 33 people, the 33 family members.
Shit, I heard 18. Is it up to 33 now?
Yeah, there was. Yeah, I saw. Well, I read the headline.
All I saw was like all the relatives that didn't go to the party were like fucking dumbasses. I told you. No, but what it was is like the guy who was hosting the party said he had a cough, or at least his statement was that he works construction, so like he had a cough through the previous day, and he was just like, if you've ever worked on like something where the dust is all in the air, sometimes you get the little tar balls and that kind of shit, stuff comes up. But yeah, it turns out motherfucker had COVID. Yeah. So yeah.
I don't know, people, and I just want to reiterate before we get off the subject, because we are not about to spend 2 hours talking about it again.
Before we jump off real quick though, you were saying you were wrapping up that comment about Hughley and the asymptomatic.
Oh, so yeah, with him, that's what I'm saying. They don't know what the fuck is going on still right now. I get frustrated, but I can't be frustrated because it's a new thing and I gotta be understanding. I get it. I'm working on it, but it's still frustrating. Like before, they were saying as well that if you were asymptomatic, that it was more difficult for you to transmit it to somebody else. Now it seems like they're saying that if you're asymptomatic, first of all, like it may be worse because you could just drop all of a sudden and with you not knowing anything, and that you're see, that's what they're not clear. They're not clear on the article that I read, which I believe was on Business Insider, is that that you can still it could be very transmittable, basically, or very contagious or whatever. Still, even if you're asymptomatic. So, and then the other alarming. This is where I was going. The other alarming statistic that they're finding out is that now there is more and more young people that are contracting it, which is young people. They're like 24 and under, 24 and 18.
That's what I'm curious about the asymptomatic part, because they were finding a lot of the kids, like say 17 to 0, where they were testing positive. They were catching it, but they weren't showing signs, and they were recovering.
Yeah.
They were the body was fighting it off quicker.
But just last week, dude, there was this 89-year-old lady in, where the fuck was this lady from? India, maybe? Somewhere on the other fucking side of the world. She caught it, and she kicked the shit out of it in 2 days.
Dude, I'm still
and she
giggling.
Was like 89 years old and shit.
There was a 91-year-old in Sicily back before we locked down.
I read that one, that she had been through all the fucking. Did you read that one? Is it the same one that this lady? She was 93 years old or some shit, and she had basically been through all those eras of like the swine flu, even the flu that was back in the 1930s. What was it? The big one?
There was the Hong Kong flu was from 1969.
No. There was one
in the 30s
in the Depression. I don't remember if it was coming out of the Depression or going into the Depression.
The Spanish flu was 1917 or 1919.
That one.
Okay.
She had been through the Spanish flu. They listed everything, and she caught like 5 of them, and she took them not at the same fucking time, but she caught 5 different ones, and she like kicked the shit out of them.
All right, I'm trying to search here for asymptomatic sudden onset. I'm not seeing anything at the moment, but definitely something to look into, folks. If you don't have enough things to get you scared, here's a new one. All right. Well, here's the thing I would wonder with Hughley, because he's had a heart attack before, hasn't he?
No.
I was thinking that D.L. Hughley had a heart attack at some point. Anyway.
The one that had a heart attack, I think, wasn't it, Elephant in the Room?
That was a bunch of stuff. I think the heart attack is what eventually...
No. He survived the heart attack.
Yeah, but
what caught up to him was the diabetes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. All the damage from the diabetes and all that shit had.
Oh, man, that's another thing, man. So, you know how we've been talking about, and I'm kind of turning this into a 180, but kind of sort of still has to do with COVID or whatever. So I just found out 2 days ago, man, one of my coworkers, and these are for all the motherfuckers that say that, oh, why gotta get so healthy all of a sudden? You gotta die sometime. One of my
not today, bitch.
One of my ex coworkers, man, I just found out he passed away. He had a massive heart attack, and he was 39 years old, bro. 39 fucking years old, dude. And I mean, I didn't get to work with him for long. I mean, when I got hired, I think he left like 6 months later, but I still got to know the dude. Like, I still saw him every day. We would work close quarters because we had to. Mm-hmm. But and he was a gamer, dude. He was on Twitch. He would stream. He had his YouTube fucking shit out there and everything. He was one of them people. And yeah, so we just learned that he passed away. So like I asked, and he actually had a massive heart attack, which when you looked at the dude, like he looked old, like old, like an older gentleman.
It was a rough 39 years.
Yeah. But then cause I didn't know how old he was. I thought, honestly, I thought he was in his 50s. So, when I was like, damn, dude, and I even said, I was like, damn, dude, he was young, how old was he? Like, he was like early 50s. He's like, bro, he's 39. And I was like, God damn. And anyway, so any time anybody that I know even remotely close or that I dealt with remotely close passes away, It strikes me in a certain way, and it fucks with me in a certain way. So it's been 2 days or whatever, and I still think about it. Like I still. But what really gets me about him is that the age, dude. Like how the fuck do you get a massive heart attack at 39? But then I remember
I know at least one motherfucker that had a heart attack in his early 20s. That was cocaine.
That's where I was going. I was about to say. And I get it. I didn't know him personally. I wasn't around him, but it's an example, motherfuckers. Big Pun was 27.
He was also like.
When I was about to say, but he was at his heaviest. He was 639 pounds at his heaviest. So that had a lot to do with it. So I know it's not a good example.
Just on a slight tangent, have you seen? What's the dude that used to rap with Pun?
Fat Joe.
Fat Joe. Have you seen him lately?
Not lately.
That motherfucker's getting on it, man. He's shedding pounds.
Oh shit! I know.
Good for him, man.
I saw he's on that fucking Rap Radar shit with on Tidal. But the last interview that I saw, he hosts the show.
Be honest, man. I didn't even know Tidal was still a thing.
It is. Yeah, it is. Hey, to be real with you, the stock's going up, so they're doing fine.
Hey, Kia still makes cars.
No, man, but he.
I'm sorry, Hyundai. Kia is a wonderful company.
He hosts a podcast on Tidal. It's called Coca Vision.
I think that's where I saw it, man, because it was like I caught a clip of something, and I'm looking at there's a couple people on the screen. I'm looking at them and going, "That looks like Fat Joe," and then the thing pops up and it's like Fat Joe, and I was like, "Oh shit, that good for you, man. I mean, he's getting up there, but
That's what I was gonna say. It's just, yeah, man. I'm not trying to. And then I remembered what the doctor told me the second time I left the emergency room. I was 29. Yeah, I was 29 years old, and I went to go see my personal doctor. That's why I haven't left that doctor, because he keeps it all the way real.
nice.
Yeah,
Ask for a recommendation.
yeah, he's a no bullshit. He'll tell you shit straight out. He's not in it for the money. He'll tell you this is what it is, and he'll cut straight to it. Dr. Alfredo Gonzalez in FAR, if y'all want to hit him up. He told me, he was like, he looked at my chart and all my results and everything, and he's like, look, man, I'm not gonna wait. This is exactly how he said. He's like, I'm not gonna waste my time, and I'm not gonna give you the sermon and the story. But these are your numbers. But when I look at this chart, I look at it, and these should be my numbers. He's like, and I'm 67 years old. And he told me straight out, he was like, I'm not even gonna tell you like what you need to fix or anything. I'm just gonna tell you need to fix it. But he said, if you don't fix this like yesterday, he didn't even say you may, kind of, sort of. He said you will have a heart attack by the time that you're 40. It's not if it happens. I'm telling you that if you keep going this way, it will happen. So he's like, you're a grown man. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life. But he's like, if you want to die early, then you're on track. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Take up skydiving, motherfucker.
Yeah.
There's funner ways to do this.
Yeah, so he's like, but you still have a chance to turn it around because you're young. So, and again, just to premise this, people, I at that time when I was having this conversation with my doctor, I had just had my daughter. I had a newborn baby. So I was like, nah, man, I gotta figure this shit out. So ever since then, man, I'm by far like, I'm not a health nut, but I picked up, I'm not gonna say a book because I'd be lying to you. I still don't pick up books, but I picked up the phone and I started searching every fucking thing on the internet, and I started cleaning up my diet and everything, and I encourage people to, like I said, I'm not going to give you a sermon, but if you just want to live a healthier life and a little bit more comfortable, just clean up your diet. And it's not that bad, man. Like I used to think, this is no bullshit, I literally used to think that my body would not survive without bread. It was like, I need to have bread with every meal. And you don't. Like, you really don't. I figured out that...
Dude, I've been having an argument, or not an argument, man, but it's a fucking, like every time something comes up, like at the house, man, I'll be talking to my cousin or something. He's in his fucking late 70s, man. And, he'll ask me some question about something. I mean, like, he knows I don't eat bread and all that shit. So like, but what about this? What about this and shit? It's like, I thought you didn't eat tortillas. Like, corn, asshole.
He told me the same thing.
Believe I said it the same way too. But yeah, and I keep telling him, like, look, man, you got options, like, and he says shit because fucking, like, my family's predisposed to, diabetes, heart disease, all the good shit. And this motherfucker smoked most of his life and shit. So it's, you know what I mean? There's risk factors involved, like we were talking about. And I'm just making suggestions. I'm like, dude, well, fucking, maybe lay off, like, switch away from wheat at first, man, because we know that like the wheat actually has an addictive quality to it.
I have a better idea or a better suggestion to that I figure out works for me, might work for you. A lot of people like myself didn't want to lay off the bread or the tortilla because of the sensation of being full after you eat, right? But I figured something out. That, like I said, it worked for me. if you're still chasing that same full sensation, if you eat half an avocado with your meal, it gives me the same full sensation. And avocado is a healthy fat. Now you can do the same thing with peanut butter. If you have 2 teaspoons of peanut butter, and it gives you the same like full sensation. Walnut and oats. If you just have like, you don't even need a full cup, just a half a cup, and it gives you a full sensation. Peanuts. If you have like half a cup of unsalted peanuts, it gives you a full sensation. But I think as Americans, because we're one of the fucking fattest countries in the world, like we're more infatuated with taste. Like I don't give a fuck what it is. Like it's gotta taste good. I gotta have it. And I gotta stuff my face with it. That's like our mentality.
Dude, I watch, I'll be honest, when I'm bored as fuck, just killing time. Complete waste, no fucking productivity. Occasionally I will watch like goofy little reaction videos on YouTube. And there's like a whole channel of shit where they just try potato chips from around the world.
Yeah.
And the same comment, because they're actually like they're going to like fucking, England, and you try fucking, American potato chips, and then we'll go to fucking like Australia, and fucking you try like Chinese potato chips, you know what I mean? Just different shit like that. And the comment that keeps coming back around is every time they try the American chips, the artificialness of the flavor. Yeah. It's like, it doesn't quite taste. I mean, look, you can make fun of Canada all day long for having ketchup flavored potato chips, but at least it fucking tastes like ketchup. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, another thing that I found out, man. I did not know, and y'all can research this shit. Like you can look it up on WebMD or the Healthline. What's the other one? There's only like 3 medical sources I trust. WebMD, the Healthline. What the fuck is that called? And the Mayo Clinic.
Livestrong.com?
No, that's another one that I trust as well. Not that one. It's called Healthline or something, I think. I don't remember. Anyway, the other thing that I found out is that technically the human body, if it's clean and if it's work, and it doesn't even have to be like all the way clean. It just needs to be even moderately clean. I didn't know that you were supposed to take a shit like once a day. I thought that you were supposed to take a shit like 2 to 3 times a day. He's like, no, if you're taking a shit 2 to 3 times a day, it's because your body's telling you that you're putting shit into it that it doesn't need and it's not healthy. The reason that you shit once a day is because your body is taking in all the nutrients that it needs and it doesn't need to throw anything out. So, and I'm living proof of that. Now that I've been eating clean, I only take one good shit in the morning, and like I'm like set for the day. Now I understand why there's people, and like they say that scientifically and medically it's normal. There's people that take a shit like every 2 to 3 days. But they also say that you should never go more than 72 hours without taking a shit, because that's bad. But I think 72 hours is the threshold for you not having.
Right. My understanding is with a lot of that has to do with basically, all right, your shit's still being broken down while it's in the lower bowel. You know what I mean? So it's the byproducts from what the fermentation process and all that start to, basically you're poisoning yourself because, and it doesn't happen like, you get that 72 hour window where it's like, produce a little bit and then blah, blah, blah. Like we were talking about that the other day. I'd run across something where there were motherfuckers claiming to take a shit once a week and like for long periods of time.
Oh no.
But these were also the kind of folks that, are doing like like culture tests on their own fecal matter to see if they gotta, add some more fucking bacteria or something.
And the other thing that some people may not know is that, believe it or not, if your system's doing all right, your shit should not stink.
Yes.
We have this shit carries a bad stigma that like shit should stink because it's shit. No, if your system's running properly, you should take a shit. I mean, you're gonna smell it because it's shit, but it shouldn't. You shouldn't be suffocating in your own fucking restroom because you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it is possible because again, I'm speaking from experience. It is possible to take a shit and for it to not smell like anything.
Oh, dude, if you get one of those quick plops, man, where it just like, you sit down and just boop, and it sinks right to the bottom, like, yeah, man, like that's it. Because, I mean, really the smell that fucking, clogs up the bathroom is mostly the gas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, like a foul shit is going to smell like foul shit. But that's, yeah.
Y'all want to smell some of the nastiest shit in the world?
I don't think anybody does.
Eat nothing but fast food for 1 week. And then take a shit. You will clear a funeral home out. I promise you that. It's crazy. But anyway, I said that I wasn't going to elaborate on this shit. So moving along, man. Something that I wanted to talk about was speaking about shit that you've been trying to do. Was you were telling me something about the VR show.
Yeah.
So explain that, and because he already explained it, but he explained to me off camera. So explain what you were telling me that you did or that you were trying to do, and then I got some questions.
Okay. I was supposed to be on a virtual reality show this last weekend. Got an opportunity, buddy. A mutual friend of ours called me up and said, "Hey, man, I can't do this show. Can you do this thing?" It was like, yeah, I was going to have to go up to San Antonio. Eduardo Gazar, we've had him on the podcast. Go back and check that out. Also on Twitch, Razzie Uj or something like that. I'm not even going to try to spell it. But he's got a virtual reality studio, green screen, all that shit set up. And the computer power, that was the thing, is I don't have the computer power to run. I have a virtual reality headset because I was high one day and I bought it. But I don't have the computer to run the motherfucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to have to go up there. Wasn't able to do it. Unfortunately, it was, shit happened then. But the guy who was running the shows on has already, I think this one they just did was their 9th show. They've got a, trying to remember the name of the site. I think altspace.vr or something, or altspace.com or altvr or something like that. Anyway, the point is it's a, virtual, like you can do it on like a desktop. Like you can go in like a little first person shooter thing, you know what I mean? And you're walking around, but there is a literal virtual club and people are in there moving around, like looking around and seeing shit.
So that's where I'm.
And if you have the headset on, I mean, you can see their hands moving and all that.
Let me see if I'm not way too stupid to understand this. Let me. I'm gonna paint the picture for you.
You're about to ask me a question in the assumption that I'm not too stupid to fucking answer this.
No, but just correct me if I'm wrong. Is what I'm saying. Let me tell you what I understand and then correct that. So, you're the comic,
right?
You have a headset on,
yes,
right? So when you have a headset on. It's just a scenario. You see the stage. Okay, this is where I'm going to perform. And people are somewhere here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you said you can see people walking around.
They have an avatar, yeah. And they're walking around.
I'm assuming that those people have VR headsets.
Not all of them. That's what I'm saying, is you can log on a desktop. Pretty much like you would play a multiplayer first-person shooter.
So, the one that doesn't have a headset, like, are they just watching it online and then they're watching, like, animated figures? Like, they see you as an animated figure?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're just not in the virtual space.
I told you, man. Like, I talked about this like a year ago.
Dude, I'm right there with you, man. I was having this conversation with several people fucking 3 years ago.
I was gonna I was like, should I say it again or should I? Oh, fuck it.
If you're not gonna monetize
it. Well, cause like I feel like it's big. It could be big money. All right, so you know how you go to the movies and people today in 2020 are still watching cartoons, right? Y'all gone to see Coco and y'all got see what I'm saying? Okay, so what I thought was, I was telling I don't know if I told you, but I know I told another friend. What if I was to do a stand-up show, a stand-up routine, me, my voice, but it would be a voiceover, right? Mm-hmm. The reason that it would be a voiceover is because I would get an animator and they would create me, my whole body, into a cartoon. And then you watch the cartoon performing the live stand-up, and I'm doing the voiceover for the cartoon. And then package that and market that and sell it as a stand-up show. And a lot of people told me that wouldn't work. And I was like, bro, people watch cartoons today. And I get it. I mean, I'm not saying 1000% it will work.
Right.
But it was like an idea that I was really set on. And their rebuttal was like, nobody's going to want to stare at a cartoon for like an hour or whatever. Just like stare at a screen with a cartoon. And then my rebuttal was, well, they already watch cartoons. And then their rebuttal was, well, yeah, but if you think about it, those cartoons, there's action, there's shit happening, there is a plot, there is a premise, and yours would basically just be a monologue, which is true. But I just thought, if you really got a good animator, they got all the expressions in there, all the fucking just like a cartoon. I really did, and maybe I don't know if it would be a bigger selling point, but maybe instead of making it a cartoon, you can make it into like a 3D movie, like not 3D to where you see the fucking thing out here, but just a 3-dimensional character in a 3-dimensional stage, where it looks more realistic. And I thought that would be a selling point, and then you package and market that, and you can sell it. But I was told by many different people that wouldn't work.
I think it's a little bit too much. All right, like we're going to get to the point in a couple of years here where basically you're going to be able to stand in front of a camera, and pretty much like they do the filters on, fucking, for the selfies and all that shit. You know what I mean? You can put the fucking dog ears on you and whatever and move the camera around and it'll still kind of stay in place until you get like over here and then the dog thing is hanging off the back of your head. But yeah, they're going to improve that greatly in the next few years to the point where you would literally be able to stand, or sit in front of your laptop and everything else will look normal and you'll be a fucking cartoon character. Like fully like it'll follow your facial expressions.
Well, they already do that. I've seen
without it glitching out and looking like shit every once in a while.
It doesn't, that's what I'm saying. Like
really?
I've seen the celebrities post it. I've seen Snoop do it. Snoop has a full blown like avatar.
Oh,
and like he'll post it on Instagram, and he'll do like it's like a live, but it's his avatar. And I'm not gonna lie to you.
Now this is him actually in front of the camera, and it's following and tracking his. No. That's what I'm saying though. You'll be able to do it in real time. Like you just.
No, well that's what I'm saying. It's happening in real time, but it's not him, or at least I don't think it's him behind the camera. It's the avatar cartoon, but everything that Snoop is doing, the cartoon is doing.
Okay, well that's just what I asked you.
So I'm guessing that it's like a pre-recorded video of the avatar that he uploads. I don't think it's live.
Okay.
Because I've seen Snoop, and I'm saying because it does look dope. and it looks really like real. Is what I'm saying.
Hmm.
I've seen Snoop's. That stupid bitch, Cardi B has one. And I think Drake has put out one. But to me, the dopest was because Snoop actually has two. Snoop has the regular him with the dreads and everything,
Hmm.
and he has one as a dog like Snoop, like a dog with a suit and everything.
Gotcha.
So
Well, I've seen like cheaper versions of that, like on Twitch. A lot of times, if you've ever watched Twitch, you'll have the game in the background, and then you'll have your player up front, down in the corner, so you can see them while they're playing the game. And a lot of people replace themselves with those avatars, and you can see the lips moving, and it's kind of but it's not. It doesn't look fluid. It looks like it's laid over something. You know what I mean? As opposed to having like you were saying, it looks like a piece of produced animation. And we're going to get to that point very quickly. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's already available. You just have to have, 3 cameras going and a fucking super rig running in the background to process. But then again, man, I was very surprised with the on Zoom, you can do the virtual backdrop, right? And don't get me wrong, it still glitches, and like if colors don't quite match it, but the fact that it's just a click, you just go, oh yeah, I want the virtual background, and then it just chooses that color, and you're good to go.
But people have been doing that for years, though.
You could do green screen, but the thing is, you had to the ability to match it perfectly. You had to have your lighting just right. All I did when I used it a while back was I just got a bright light in front of me. I wasn't trying to like cover the shadows and get all the filler light going. Because I've seen, just even from recently, man, you can see people who are using maybe not good software. I don't know, but you'll see, the wind blows and all of a sudden you can see the ripples in the background.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah, and I didn't notice, I wasn't noticing any of that. Like I'm looking at multiple people's screens and the backdrop isn't doing weird shit. You know what I mean? It's not suddenly, I will be honest, the glare off my forehead matched the white behind me for a bit. So it looked like I had a bite taken out of my head for a little bit. That's not good, but they're going to fix that. Especially, dude, positive and negative, but at some point you're going to be able to get like an infrared type camera on your laptop. I'll probably get one right now, but I doubt anybody's including it, in the package. You know what I mean? But you'll be able to do, you ever fucked around with like the Kinect for the Xbox? Yeah. You'll be able to do that with your laptop very soon, man. Like you'll just be able to sit in front of it and just, move your hand. You won't need your fucking mouse. It'll be all built in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, there's a lot of this stuff that we can do already, but you have to have the different pieces.
The one that trips me out, and I saw this like maybe 5 years ago, actually 4 years ago, is they actually have, I don't even know what to call them. I forgot what they're called. But there is the keyboard, an actual full keyboard for a computer, is just a light. So you turn on the light.
They've had those for a while. Yeah. The problem is, one, the tracking is probably great at this point. The first thing that would fuck with my head is, imagine how hard it is. Like, all right, even the greatest of thumb typers, occasionally you get it just a little bit off and you're pressing the wrong button because it's a flat surface. There's no textile. I mean, there's no texture to it. You know what I mean? You're not getting that feedback that you would with a keyboard. So, I mean, dude, I'm not the greatest typer in the world, but I can get going pretty fucking quick. And when I'm doing it, even then, man, there's, you go to reach for a key and you go, like your finger's already on the key, and you barely press it down. You go, ooh, that's the wrong key. And you pull back. Whereas if you're talking instant reaction, because all it's doing is tracking where your fingers are. Yeah. Like it can't tell how hard you're pressing down on the surface or any of that. And there you run into some problems. Yeah. Trying to use in virtual reality, especially because you have to like fucking, chicken peck at it. one finger type of typing. You can't do a full thing. Though I will say this, the new Oculus Rift has built-in hand tracking. I don't know how detailed it is. Like, I don't know if it can track your fingers, you know what I mean? Maybe you can start, doing sign language in virtual reality, but they don't need you to be holding a controller anymore, which is, that just frees it up unimaginably at this point.
Crazy though.
Yeah, man.
And I was thinking the other day too, like,
dude, because think of it this way, man. When you're doing stand-up, occasionally every once in a while, man, like you gesticulate, you know what I mean? And to be able to go from like, did you ever play the original Vice City, Grand Theft Auto Vice City?
Mm-hmm.
They had those little crab claw hands. They look like Lego men almost and shit. Yeah. That's pretty much the function that you have in VR when you have the controller. Like you can, it's got multiple buttons. You can choose like what position your hand is in. Like I said, you can type if you extend the finger and yada yada. But all of that is not very natural. So most of the time you're just waving it around, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like I said, it just looks like all you see is a hand just waving around. So you can't get the subtlety of gesticulation in that. Not yet, anyway. But I don't know, man. The possibilities are there. Like, all right, if you get to the point where you could have a virtual keyboard, like say that the little laser one that you brought up.
Yeah.
If there was something like that where, like, say you put maybe you just put like a ring on, I don't know, maybe a wristband or something that gives you some feedback so that, like, when you actually click the button, like the difference between, say, a laptop keyboard and a mechanical keyboard, where you actually get that, you know what I mean, from the key. Not everybody, I understand, but for a lot of people, that feedback is almost necessary. You know what I mean? You lose a sense of physicalness of the keyboard.
It's just like people that say, going back to stand-up, I don't think I would be able to perform stand-up without holding the mic. Like, I've seen people perform stand-up with a headset.
Mm.
And to people that have never performed anything on stage, y'all wouldn't give a fuck. But to a performer, especially when you're doing something like stand-up, there's something about holding a microphone that is just it. Well, again, I'll speak for myself. But to me, I feel like it's part of my performance. I would feel very weird if I was doing it through a headset, because then I would have both hands free, and then maybe I wouldn't know what to do with one, and then it's like...
I was running through a piece of material I was working on the other day, and you instinctually, or at least I do, man, when I'm actually like going through, not writing it, but actually like repeating the material back to kind of see if it sounds good, if the flow's good, I just instinctually lift my hand. If I have anything in my right hand, it's getting brought up to my face. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Thank God I'm not a welder. But dude, at some point in the fucking bit, I actually gesticulated changing my hands with the microphone. I was like, you don't have anything in your hand. What the fuck are you doing? I'm doing this shit. And then I just like made the motion to change hands with the microphone, change it to the left hand so you can gesticulate with the right. Going, okay, I guess it's good that there's the instinct in there to at least understand that there will be a microphone involved. But have you ever watched anybody go up for the first time and they get that fucking death grip on the microphone?
Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't know what to do with my hands, so I'm just going to wrap them as tightly as possible around this.
But see, on that same token, there is comics. Like the first one that comes to mind is Joey. Joey Diaz does it a lot. To where it feels like with them, they're not really comfortable too much holding the microphone. So for a large part of their performance, they put the microphone on the mic stand and they perform. Which, like, the reason I bring that up is, like, doing that is still fine to me. Like, I think even if I absolutely thought it was necessary, I would do that too. But I don't think I would ever do the headset.
I think there is an element that comes with having the mic stand. Like, there are people that just use the mic stand as prop. And I don't mean like in an act out. I mean like take Bill Burr, for example, where like he's basically got the mic in one hand and he's gesticulating to the crowd like with the mic stand, like, you know, you motherfuckers over here.
You know who does that a lot too, man? I got to perform with him like 2 or 3 times. But it made me feel, going along with what you're saying, it made me feel like it was more of a tick. Andy. Shout out to Andy. How do you pronounce his last name? I don't want to fuck up his last name.
Corpus?
Yeah, is he from Corpus?
Andy Gomez.
No, man. The older gentleman.
Andy.
The one that was in America's Got Talent.
Huggins, man. Huggins.
I was totally going to fuck up his name. I'm sorry, Andy, if you ever watch this shit.
Put some respect on his name.
Yeah, but yeah. So him, dude, and I saw it now that I remember because I've gone back and I played the video. He did it on America's Got Talent, like he was really fucking with that mic stand, but I mean he was fucking it with it bad, like he was rolling it and shit. So I thought it was just, I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't pay much attention. But then I saw him, I think on another video clip, he was performing in I think it was the LOL in San Antonio. And he was doing the exact same thing, dude. Like he was holding on real tight and rolling the mic stand. And then I was like, all right, well, maybe it's just, I was still like, it's maybe a coincidence. Then I got to perform with I opened for the first time.
Yeah.
And he did the same fucking thing on stage. And then I got to feature for him the second time. And he was doing the same way. And like, but I don't know if you've ever noticed, but like he really grips it and like rolls it and does this. And it kind of, I mean, not that necessarily it's a bad thing. But for me, like somebody that has ADD and shit,
a little distracting.
Yeah, like like he does it enough to where it does kind of distract you, and you find yourself like looking at the mic stand and not at him. You know what I'm saying? But I was gonna say, I think that for a lot of people, it's just like it's a tick. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's a tick or not.
I'll tell you one of the weirdest things that I've noticed more and more, and for some reason it's. It does seem to be the older comics, not necessarily Andy Huggins old, but you know, getting up there. But you'll see these specials where they clearly have a lapel mic on, and they have they're holding the microphone down here at their fucking waist, and it's like the only reason I could think that you have that microphone is you just feel naked without it. You know what I mean?
That's how I would feel. I would.
Now,
that's exactly how I would feel. I feel naked without the mic.
I will say again, there are gesticulations, motions that you can make with the microphone. Like if you've got the microphone at a distance, you're being real casual with it, and then all of a sudden you bring the microphone right up to your face. It's an indication to the people watching. You're giving them visual cues as to how to listen to the words coming out of your mouth. Almost one of my favorite moves, man. That I've seen it done badly, and when it's done well, you don't even notice until it hits. But you get the mic out and you put the fucking mic stand over to the side and behind you, right? And then like I'll see comics like go to get the mic stand like they're about to finish up the set, and then like start to go into a bit, and then again mic out of the stand fucking back here, but like with it's almost like focus. Now we're back into it. You know what I mean? Yeah. There is trickery involved. You know what I mean? Sleight of hand type of shit. Look over here while I palm the quarter.
I remember seeing one of Bill Burr's interviews, and I thought it was a weird pet peeve, but he says that he has a pet peeve specifically with comics that go perform on stage and they don't hold on to the microphone in their hand. That he has a pet peeve with comics that have the microphone on the stand,
Hmm?
and they spend the whole hour with the mic on the stand. And he said, because you know how he is, and he gets like ecstatic and he fucking yells and shit.
Hmm?
And he's like, no, you're working. You're fucking working. Take the microphone out of the fucking stand, put it in your hand.
I've heard
And
them
you know what I'm saying?
do that bit, yeah.
So, was it a bit or was it an interview?
Well, I don't mean bit, but that's one of his.
Yeah.
If you watch Burr long enough, you notice he has those kind of rants that are they're structured almost like bits. He says them the same way every time. With
he said you're supposed to hold on to the mic, and he says that's one of his
every once in a while, man, I get real comfortable leaving the mic in the stand, but holding the stand. Like I'll just drag the stand around while I'm fucking doing it.
Oh,
not all the time.
That is a high risk for me. I would probably end up with the stand on the floor. Fuck that. So
what? You can lean on the stand, man. Oh, that's the other thing, man. I think with Huggins, man, like you notice he'll bring the stand over and then knock it down and then use it.
Now that's another thing. But see, with me, people that have not seen me perform, I urge you to see me perform whenever the fuck I do end up back on stage. But people that don't know, I have a disability and shit. So, I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to explain it again. But I have found myself using the stand for balance. Sometimes I do feel that I'm going to lose my balance. Not that I'm about to lose it, but I kind of learned to like think ahead. And I'm like, yeah, I might lose my balance. So I keep the stand next to me and like I'll hold on to it.
All right, one more thing before we break out for the first hour. I do remember being at a gig with you at one point. I can't for the life of me remember where it was, and they handed you a wireless microphone, and there was no stool, there was no mic stand, and you just looked at the guy and went, "Man, I'm gonna need something up there." And
oh, dude, wait, before we close, yeah, you weren't there. It's funny that you say that because I know this is not the same scenario. So I performed at the South Padre Island Convention Center. For I think it was a car show or some shit like that. And it was packed, dude. Like it was I mean, the venue was still like empty, but there was a shitload of people there. And the way the stage, I didn't know. Nobody told me. No, I just got there, but I had already been paid. So I couldn't just like, hey man, never mind. But as soon as I pulled up and I was like, that's the stage. And they were like, yeah, man. And I was like, oh shit, that is not happening. What happened was that, so this was the stage, right? Like this.
Mm-hmm.
But then they had the long walkway, like from here that way. And then there was no rail. There was no nothing. It was just open. And then it was really narrow. Right. So I was like, if I even attempt to walk, it's like, and then there was no stool. There was no mic stand. Nothing, bro. I mean, they were just going to give me the mic and like, that was it. And I was like, and then the comic that there was a comic that went on before me, and he had already finished, and he did great. He went out there, did his thing, whatever, and he had already performed. He handed the mic back, and then I was next, and I was like, oh shit, this is not, and I was like, and he was coming off, and I was like, hey bro, where's the stool? And he was like, oh man, there's no stool. And I was like, oh shit. So then I remember, again, people, as soon as I walked up there, people noticed, my situation. So.
Is that what you're calling it now?
Yeah, exactly. So, the host, like, I was like, hey man, thank you, whatever. He had introduced me or whatever. And before he was walking on stage, I literally pulled him from the shirt and I was like, my brother, hold on, let me, is there any way that I can get a chair up here? And he's like, he looked at me, he was cool about it. He was like, oh yeah, man, for sure, don't even worry about it. And they didn't have a stool, so they actually got me one of those steel folding chairs.
Right.
But I think this dude thought that I wanted it to
sit.
sit down. You know what I'm saying? And again, the stage was really narrow. So but moral of the story is that he I think he got kind of pissed the fact that he gave me a chair and I never sat down, because I literally just got the chair and I put it next to me. You know what I'm saying? But I needed it for measurement purposes. I was like, I don't go too far that way. Don't come too far this way. If I stay right here where the chair is, I'm safe. I'm not gonna fall over. Because the other thing was that the stage was really high, like really really high. I could literally see over everybody, and people were looking up at me. So if I fell, I was gonna fall on top. I was gonna break somebody's neck for damn sure. You know what I mean? So I went up there, did my thing or whatever. Longest fucking 30 minutes of my life. And, I got off, and then the host came up to me and he's like, my brother, you did great and everything. But he made it a purpose to ask me, he's like, my brother, but you never used the chair. And I told him, I was like, yeah, I did. And he was like, oh, you did? And I was like, didn't you see me hold on to it?
Well, all right. Were you, because I vaguely remember you talking about doing the show at the convention center. You were already using the closer where you have to like get down.
Yeah.
That would be the first thing, because I know that's your closer. It would be like, Freddy ain't getting up without something to fucking lean against. Come on.
Yeah, exactly, man. But I mean, they had never seen me perform before, so that was that was the issue. I had a similar issue. I don't think you were there when I did this show for the veterans out at Brownsville. They had okay, you weren't there. I don't know who went with me, but the issue there was that, again, there was no stool and no chair, which there it was a very small venue, so I didn't really need it, but I did need it as a prop to do like my closer. And I told him, I was like, my brother, I need a stool, like, and he told me the same thing. I was like, oh, you need to sit down, and I was like, no, dude, it's because I need it for like my last bit. And he got me a chair. And he, again, same thing. He actually got me one of those like folding chairs or whatever. But that one I did need to do like the closer or whatever. So yeah, man, that shit was yeah. And as soon as I'll be honest with you, my point and moral to that story was that as soon as I saw that big ass stage and how narrow it was, like, it made me nervous.
Start trying to get Jesus on speed dial.
Yeah, I was like, nah, this is not gonna fuck. And it was like right then and there, I was like, how am I gonna pull this off if and like I told you, I had already been paid, so it's not like, hey man, I'm not gonna be able to do this, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was something that
could have gone horrible.
Could have.
Just a little note to the folks at home. Next time you're watching some comedy and you're like, why do they have so much furniture on stage? Sometimes we need that shit.
Exactly.
All right, that's the first hour. We'll be right back. And we're back.
We are back, great folks. If you're still with us, thank you so much. If you're not, from the bottom of my heart, fuck you. I'm kidding. I mean, even if you weren't here, you won't know.
Like, I just hate you a little bit. Freddy, whoo, a whole nother level.
Nah, man, another thing that I wanted to ask you, kind of sort of switching gears and whatnot. There's quite a few things I wanted to talk about, but they're all going to take a long time. One of the things I wanted to ask you is, let's just say that this COVID shit continues for, let's just give it a, like, not the way it is, but just to the point where, like, we can't normally approach each other like we used to, basically. Where do you think comedy is going? Because I've already made up my mind, like, comedy is not going away. even with this shit going on, and if it stays, it's comedy's not going away. I know it's not. And I got one major point to prove it. People used to do comedy without speaking a word, and they made it work. So, I know it's not the same thing, but the drastic point that I'm trying to make is, I know these are drastic measures, so I know that comedy will find a way to like overcome it. But I'm saying, as far as the norm changing, do you let me give you an example to make it a little bit more purpose surfaced. Where do you think, do you think people doing that comedy shit through Zoom and Skype and all that shit? Because even professional comics are doing that shit now. So, do you think if that becomes the full norm, do you think that that'll be something that we will just have to learn to enjoy? And before you answer that question, just so I can premise it even more, for the people that don't know, there was already 2 human beings on Earth recently, and I want to say recently within the past 2 to 3 years, that were gonna attempt to do this. What I'm saying is, they were gonna film 2 specials, 2-hour-long specials, and sell them to Showtime, the network, where they were gonna film it in an empty theater, completely. The theater was purposefully gonna be empty, and they were gonna film a special. Gerard Carmichael was gonna executively produce it, and I believe the comic that was gonna do the hour special was gonna be, I can't pronounce his last name, Rowley. He's a fairly young comic.
Name doesn't ring a bell at all.
Yeah, he works with Kevin Hart. He does a lot of work for the LOL network.
Has he been on anything?
He's done, from what I understand, he's done a couple of movies. Anyway, so him, and now I remember the other comic. The other comic that was going to produce that special, a special just like it, or make it, was Hannibal Buress. He was going to do an empty theater.
I could see Hannibal's shit working to an empty room. Because like a lot of... You know what? I take that back. I have not watched the newest special. I have seen some clips.
Which one? Which one, the newest special, I mean?
There's something that just came out, or it's coming out within the month. Something on Netflix they've already got clips of it up, because he was talking about the... It's not Comedy Kamasado, right? The last one that he did. That's no. So it's another one after that one. Because Comedy Kamasado was the last one that he made, but he put that out in 2018 or 2019, I think. Okay, did he talk? Because
he talks about the joke. Well, my favorite joke in that one is where he talks about social media fucking shit up, because you don't know. He's like, what if you click on their profile and like they're a serial killer? And I think that the punchline was I shouldn't have said it because the punchline slipped away. But he sets up a great premise as into why you should never date somebody that you just met on social media. And then he was like, so I still called her the day after, but, it's something like that. But that was on his last special. I think he filmed it in Philadelphia. I think.
Okay, was that before or after he had that whole incident with the cops?
After.
That was after?
The cops?
He got arrested for the PI? I'm trying to remember what town it was.
I thought you were going to say the Cosby joke.
No.
Oh, okay.
That was, that was.
Yeah, that was after.
Right. Then I'm thinking it's the new one that's coming out is where he talks about that. He got thrown out of a bar, or they asked him to leave, and then he was walking down the street. He got arrested for PI. He was being a dick to the cops. And to be honest, the cop was trying to be nice to him. I've seen the video. They knew who he was. He was like, Mr. Burris, can you please just, like, fuck you. And you're like, Hannibal.
It's just like you. It just reminds me of celebrities doing stupid shit and DUI stops. Do you know who Adrian Broner is, the professional boxer?
I haven't seen that one, but I know.
So I believe he was driving a white Ferrari and he got pulled over because he was swerving, but he was fucked up. He was fucked up, but he wasn't like tripping, falling. He was just talking a lot of shit. You know what I'm saying? So. And it was a female cop that pulled him over. So this dude started flirting with the female cop, right? And the female cop was like, no, like relax or whatever. She was paying him no mind. To where I was laughing and I couldn't stop laughing was the cop didn't know. Again, this is a fairly famous boxer. He is famous.
She didn't know who he was?
So the female cop had no idea who he was, right? So then she was like, oh, and you can hear him. She was like trying to sweet talk her. It's like, oh, come on, girl. You really gonna arrest me? You don't have to arrest me. Like, we can make this go away. You know what I'm saying? He was literally telling her, he was like, we can. I was like, man, kind of like Chappelle. I was like, man, shut the fuck up. You need to give your lawyer something to work with, So, he was like, man, we can make this go away or whatever. And then she was like, no, I'm going to have to take you in. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm going to ask you to stand up because I need to cuff you for your protection and for mine. Is that okay? Do you understand? He's like, no, we can make this go away. He kept saying the same shit, right? So then he gets really pissed off and he flips on her. And he's like, do you know who I am? He said, do you know who I am? And she was like, no, I don't. And then he looks at her and he's like, do you know who Muhammad Ali is? And she was like, yes, and you're not him. And then he started shouting, like he started shouting really loud. He started shouting really loud, and he called her a bitch. He was like, bitch, I'm Adrian Broner. I'm a 4-time world champion and I don't know what. And he was shouting and shouting. And then the girl told her, it's like, sir, I've asked you twice already. If you don't calm down, I'm going to have to tase you. And then he's like, all right, we don't got to take it there. He said, we don't got to take it there. You know what I'm saying? So he comes home and then that's where the video ended. But yeah,
dude, if you ever want a really good one, look up Randy Travis. You familiar with the country singer?
Oh no, the country singer, yeah, but not the drunk stuff.
He, I think he wrapped his car around a tree and then fucking, I think he had his shirt off and he's literally telling the cops, "I'm gonna bury you under my barn" or something. It's like, Jesus, Randy, shut the fuck up.
The one that they say that was hilarious, but it was so funny that I went digging in the internet for it and I couldn't find it was the drunk stop for Tiger Woods. They said that it was the most hilarious shit in the world. But even from the mugshot, cause I saw the mugshot. Yeah. I was like, that shit had to be fun. That had to be hilarious. But yeah, I had a friend tell me, but I've searched it and he must have really good PR people because I have not fucking been able to find it.
Well, you just file that Freedom of Information Act and...
yeah, man, but it kind of reminds me, the times that I remember one time that I got arrested. You know how, for the people that have been to jail, you know how they, if you don't know, the reason that every mugshot looks the same and it's just a different person is because the police officer that takes your mugshot, before they take your mugshot, they specifically tell you not to smile. They tell you that you can't smile for whatever reason. With me, I was trying to smile when one of the last times I got arrested. I was trying to smile, and they had to do like 4 retakes because the officer, had to take a picture without me smiling, right?
It's like that whole thing at the DMV. Stop smiling, sir.
Yeah, yeah. And then the way he got me to stop was because I kept doing it or whatever. Because I'm not gonna lie to you, I was high as shit. So I was trying to smile. I was trying to lighten up the mood, man. I mean, I was already in jail. What the fuck else was he gonna do? You know what I mean? But then I was wrong, so I kept trying to smile. And then he finally told me, he's like, "Sir, if you smile again, I'm gonna put you in confinement for 7 days." I said, "Okay, all right, no, exactly." So
You didn't have to take it there.
yeah. So, but yeah, when you take a mugshot,
Did he try please first? What the fuck?
The only person. Well, maybe I'm going too far back. I haven't known of anybody else.
To be honest, I have seen a couple that they let it slide. They're
No,
supposed to
okay,
not let you smile. And
Well, what I was gonna say, did they? But this is what I'm saying. Did they let a complete smile, like a complete full smile slide?
I'd say more of a grin.
No.
I have seen one. I take that back. I have seen one just like full on, like just flashing all teeth. But
okay, because I was gonna say the only one that was able to pull off with a full fucking fledged grin was Pablo Escobar. And that picture became famous, and they marketed the shit, and they made over $1 billion with that one picture. But then again, you need to be Pablo Escobar to pull that off. So yeah, and they actually of course I wasn't there, right? But the word is that they actually told him too. They were like, "Mr. Escobar, you can't smile in your mugshot, sir. We need a straight face." And he's like, "But I want to smile." And the word is that the cop did not tell him not to smile again.
That is a fair point, Mr. Escobar. You go ahead and do what you do.
Yeah. So, mugshots can be
honest,
fun.
The reason they do it for your driver's license is facial recognition. Like they want to be able to get all the points on your face. Like the old, back in the day, they just were being dicks to you. They just, you can't enjoy this.
Well, you're in jail. They don't want you to enjoy that shit.
Dude, you ever had one of those moments where somebody is legitimately yelling at you, angry as fuck, and you just can't help yourself?
But to smile, yeah.
It just pisses them off.
My should I say that? Oh fuck.
Drop it.
Yeah, I already fuck. So my friend was in the military. He was a Marine. As we all know, Marine is one of the hardest corps to get into in the military. And he said that his first military private fucking was like very intimidating, and he would yell into everybody's face, and he was just all up in your face. But he would make people cry. He was like, when we got there to boot camp, on the first day, there was fucking people crying up a river. And he did it to me, and I got him fucked up, and I laughed. And he was like, I regret laughing, because for that whole week, he made me, there's a specific name for it, but its name slips my mind. But basically, he made him do over 100 push-ups with on the gravel while it was raining, with his rifle on top of his hands, and he could not let the rifle touch the ground or slide off of his hands. If the rifle slid off of his hands, he had to start the count over. So, and he was like, I regretted. He was like, and ever since, I never laughed again. But he was like, the only reason I laughed is because everybody else around me was crying, and I didn't understand why people cried because somebody's yelling in your face. He's like, he's not touching you. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only way I cried or I would cry is if this motherfucker really did something to intentionally, like, physically hurt me. Which, that same friend, I will not mention names because he's probably watching this or whatever. He got in trouble because his basically, long story short, his military sergeant, he asked him to do something, and this dude was hungover, and he just wasn't in the mood of taking the shit. And this dude had the balls to tell him, "I'm not gonna do it," like, to his face. And he was like, "You're gonna do it because I'm telling you to do it, you little bitch." And he called him a bitch, right? And he's like, "I don't care what you call me, I'm not gonna do it." Which is like, I don't. So the sergeant actually ended up grabbing him from the arm. And with this dude, when he grabbed him by the arm, this dude turned around and he dropped, he like punched him. Like, did he just turn around and sock the shit out of him? So they actually put him in, I don't know the correct terms of it, like military jail.
Yeah.
So he did, like, I think it was 14 days in military jail, and they took his check for 14 days.
I believe the brig is the proper terminology. Yeah, man, that's dude. There is a great fucking scene in the novel Starship Troopers, man, where it's
The novel or the movie?
the novel.
Oh,
From the 50s, not from the 90s.
oh, okay.
Yeah, but it's kind of the same thing. They're going through the boot camp scenario, and the drill sergeant reaches down and grabs the guy, and the guy pops him in the face. And they come back, and they're standing in front of the superior officer. The drill sergeant's there with a fucking big old black eye. And the kid's basically hangs himself because he keeps going, like, "You don't understand. He hit me first." And it's like, you can't touch an officer.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. I mean, that was the best explanation I ever had is for why, like, the whole do push-ups with the rifle or fucking, you know, I don't know, fucking walk around with something. Just the ridiculous shit that you sometimes hear from motherfuckers about, like, what they've been made to do in these basic training scenarios. It doesn't serve, like, the actual act doesn't serve any purpose. The whole point is, are you willing to follow orders regardless of what the orders are? And
that's what I was gonna say. And I love the point that you bring up because it goes perfect with what I was gonna attach on. I've always, well, not always, but when I became a grown adult, that I understood the better part of how the world works in society. From that point forward, I always thought that if the whole world, and I mean this literally, it's not a joke, if the whole world went throughout their lifetime, every kid or adolescent or 18-year-old, whatever you want to call it, but it was mandatory by the government to put you through military training. Not that you had to go to war or join the military, just to put you through the training for the discipline. This is going to sound fucked up, but I do believe that the world would be a better place. And I'll tell you why. I base it off of the sole fact that the discipline. I don't back down from what I've said before. I don't back down from any points that I've ever made on this podcast or anywhere else. I've shitted on this country before, what I felt rightfully so when they do shit wrong. But something that I do admire about this country's military is I feel that there's no better discipline as far as, like, military wise when it comes to, like, the U.S. military. The point that I was going to make was, if you really look, I don't know many, but I know quite a handful of people that went through military training, did their 4 years, 8 years, or whatever, but they went through the whole thing and they graduated, excluding going to war. None of that matters. I'm just saying going through the military training, including my brother. I have a brother that's a Marine. Like, everybody that went through it and graduated successfully, I have not known one of those motherfuckers to be irresponsible with anything. Irresponsible with like their livelihood, everything from like their payments, the way they have their life structured. I'm not saying that they're perfect and that they don't fuck up. I'm not saying any of that. But as far as like the discipline and the shit that they do to take care of themselves and make sure to take care of everybody else. Everything from like making their bed every morning to make sure that they have their finances intact. Like, believe it or not, a lot of that shit, if not everything, comes from that military discipline. I'm gonna tell y'all something like about my brother or whatnot. Like my brother is not a rich person monetarily by a long shot, but he has money. But the reason that he has money is because he's learned to like really manage it. And I've had this conversation with it, and he says that the military played a part in like teaching them the discipline with finances and life and shit like that.
I don't necessarily disagree with you as far as the discipline, but you used the word responsibility earlier, and I'm not going to harp on that like you're wrong. I'm just saying what I have found in my experience, to be honest, I don't have that much many acquaintances who were officers. Like I've known a few military officers, as opposed to your enlisted man, or I forget what the other term is, but basically where you could be promoted from the ranks without having to go through officer training and all that. Because there's a certain point at which you go, okay, we got to actually pull you out here and go stick you in officer training, and then you can come back and we'll push you up the ranks. And there are a lot of motherfuckers that go their whole 20-year career without ever doing that. But the vast majority of my interpretation, man, they might argue against it, but hey, I've seen you when you're drunk, motherfucker. The vast majority of people,
I don't know who you're talking about, but to whoever
a whole handful of people,
several
handfuls of people,
whoever those people are, to their defense, I wasn't speaking of like when you're under the influence or anything. No. Because that makes a big difference when you're under the influence.
No doubt, man. But what I was going to make the distinction between the discipline and the responsibility, like you brought up the finances, I can understand where the discipline can help with picking up that ability where you go, okay, I've got to manage my finances, so I'm going to dedicate myself to figuring all this out. And that seems to be a trait that, especially with the Marines, man, they kind of instill that shit. It's like, here's a job. How do I do it? Figure it out, fucker. The ability to dedicate themselves to a discipline and pick that up and make that a part of their toolkit is there. But as far as the responsibility, I've known way too many motherfuckers that kind of come out and they don't, like, if they had somebody there like going, now get up, go get a job, go do this, do that, they'd be fine. You know what I mean? But like, if
so you're saying like they wouldn't do it on their own, is what you're saying?
Well, like they'd go out and get a job, but only because they need the money. Like they don't necessarily have taking the responsibility on themselves of actually going like, oh, I have to decide what my next step is. I've seen more than a few motherfuckers trip over that after coming out of the military. To caveat that, most of those motherfuckers that I've known have eventually got their shit together, and because of the discipline are able to excel at whatever it is they choose. But understanding that going through all of that does have an aspect of, or it seems to have an aspect of squashing the will a bit. Not everybody. There's some motherfuckers out there that are, multitasking, and even while they're still they're getting shit put together. They've got a plan once they're out the door. But there are a lot of motherfuckers that seem to go in there and they just go, okay, here's what we're doing, and this is all we're doing. I'll worry about that when I get out. And then they get out, and they don't really have a next step on that. So as far as the responsibility goes, I think that's not necessarily something
But
that's...
that part that you said there is a little different. I didn't mean that. Like I wasn't talking about like
I wasn't
having,
trying to correct you either. I'm just saying you use the word responsibility, and I think that is a distinction.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. No, I was just talking more of like the discipline, the discipline of like just being able to get shit done, knowing how, and this is another thing I wanted to throw in there. I haven't met too many military people that went through the whole training, and that they were like fully like blown procrastinators. Like I'll do it later. I'll do. Like a lot of people that I've met and I've dealt with, they're like, let's get it done now. We're gonna do
Right.
like what you know what I mean. So I just think that it's something that comes to. I go back to the bigger picture. I think that if the world would go through military training the way the U.S. does it, I do think it would make a positive improvement. Without the guns, that's a whole different thing. Like not going to war. I'm just saying that the training itself, the basically the discipline that it teaches you.
Personally, man, I think...
And it makes you a more, that's the other thing. Yeah, I feel it makes you a more mentally hard individual. Like it'll be way harder to break you down mentally. So in turn, I feel that if it's harder to break you mentally down easily, it'll you'll be able to know how to deal with stress better. So you won't like bug the fuck out when you go through like because again, because of conversations that I've had with my brother, he also did tell me that they put you through like a mental stress like training because they want to make sure that in war situations basically that you don't like mentally break down.
Well, I think...
And he's like, don't get me wrong, there is people that no matter how much training they go through, once they go to war, he's like, I saw people in real ops training, like when they go to the field and they blow shit up and they shoot shit, I saw them break down there, and it wasn't even real war. So they're just, honestly, there is people that they're not made for that. But they do train you just to make sure that when they do take you to war, that you don't like mentally like break down.
I feel you on that, man. I just I have just noticed it often enough to... I have to at least think that there is some aspect of that. All right, they want you to be tough. They want you to be disciplined. You know, they want you to follow the rules. And part of that whole responsibility thing is, hey, don't lose your shit right now because you don't have to worry about what the next move is. We'll tell you what the next move is. All you have to do is be calm and follow fucking orders. Yeah. And I think some motherfuckers internalize that way too much so that they do. It's... Again, like you said, you don't see a lot of procrastinating necessarily, but you're not seeing a lot of ambition necessarily either. With some people.
Yeah.
Again, that it's all about what you take in with you as well. Like I know at least a short handful of motherfuckers that probably should never, ever have been admitted into the military. Just on the face of it, you know, give them a fucking ink blot test, and real quickly you're gonna figure out this motherfucker got some screws loose.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's true, but I think that's kind of another side of the aspect. What I was gonna say, but then what really sucks is that, and I think one of the people that has talked about it openly, or two people, has been Jocko Willink and David Goggins. A lot of, like, one of the downsides that especially David Goggins says that happens to a lot of people when they leave the military is like the military is all they know. So when they go back into civilization, they don't know how to do it. And they asked him, was like, well, isn't there training? He's like, yeah, you actually go back to like civilization classes
Yeah.
because they train you to transition to like back.
My understanding is that has gotten more rigorous, in the last 20 years, considering we've been fighting several wars for 20 years. Yeah, they do seem to have gotten a little bit better at, I don't know what was transitioning.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Yes, being able to change. I was having a conversation the other day about former military being accepted as law enforcement. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there is a large percentage of people who come out of the military and they go, fuck it, I'll go into law enforcement, or I'll go into, corrections or something like that. And there are a lot of people that seem to make that transition very well, but the ones that do all seem to say the same thing, in that it has to do with refocusing the mission, because they can't go into police work with the same mentality that you'd go into combat. Yeah. And yeah, there are a lot of motherfuckers that don't make that transition. They still, doesn't, the military is all they know.
And they said that they were because they asked David Goggins, is it a requirement? Is it a requirement for you to take it? He's like, oh yeah, and I think it's like a 6-month course where like you have to go through like those classes so that you can actually like leave the military. And then a funny ass story came out where the only person that they knew, and it's a story that was out there, that there's a rumor that supposedly Jocko didn't go through those classes, but because he chose not to. The story is supposedly he went for a day, and then he was like, what the fuck is this shit? And he was like, I don't need this. And then he never went back, and he just left the military. They were laughing because they were like, I can already picture Jocko was just like, oh no, fuck this shit, I'm out. And that's basically what he did. He was like, oh, I don't need this shit, and he just left. And but I mean, I do think that it, like, because people don't fucking understand, or I don't think they understand the reality of, like, again, I'm praising the U.S. military, like, when you get fully trained as a military person in the U.S. military, especially if you become an officer like Jocko or a fucking Navy.
I was going to point that out when you're talking about like Willing, like that guy. One had a long career.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
The other thing is like people like him, where like when you get trained to that level, you gotta understand that you're specifically a trained killing fucking machine. You know what I'm saying?
I'll push back on that a little bit, but go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, like, the reason I say it like that is because when you're in that mentality, like, then you go back to regular ass civilization. I do feel like you gotta have some kind of detox. You can't go like from that to that, like from one day to another. Because then I do, and this is how I was connecting it, then I do understand why so many veterans have so much like mental breakdowns, have like PTSD triggers, because you're literally going from one extreme to another. I'll give you a perfect example. Have you ever ridden a roller coaster? Like a real roller coaster that goes fucking like crazy? Like when you were a kid?
Nothing extreme, but yeah.
Okay. Me neither. I've only ridden one or two in my life, and I felt I was going to die, so I was like, never again.
Yeah.
What I do remember from getting on that roller coaster, when I got off it, the first 3 steps, when I started walking on the ground again, I felt like I had like Bambi legs and shit. So that's what I'm saying. Like when you leave that extreme and come to like a normal ass fucking civilization extreme like just like that, you're gonna feel like you don't know what the fuck to do. Even like just another thing, real simple in the military, because my brother told me in the military, you get used to being yelled at, so you get used to yelling at people. Well, you gotta learn quick when you live in the military that you can't fucking yell at people and in regular fucking civil life. So even that can be like a task within itself. Like you need to learn, like, okay, this is the way I talk to people, this is the tone that I'm supposed to use and shit like that.
Yeah.
But then the reason that I'm very adamant about like people should take some kind of military training is because I also think that maybe we wouldn't have so many soft ass fucking kids. Like,
I just remembered I was going to ask you about this, man. We were talking a couple episodes back about.
I've never been in the military.
No.
I
You mentioned
they don't have special forces.
You mentioned that you almost got your ass stuck into boot camp.
Yeah.
In school.
Yeah.
You weren't talking about the fucking military academy, were you?
No.
Okay. I've known at least one or two motherfuckers that basically got.
Man? No, it was called boot camp, but it was called another program.
Well, see, that's the thing is like boot camp, at least in Edinburgh, it was a separate campus, but it wasn't like they were housing kids there.
No, you were housed.
Okay, that's why when you said that,
you were housed. The only thing they couldn't do, they couldn't keep you overnight. But like
then that's not housed, man.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay,
you weren't housed overnight.
That's where I was getting confused because I asked you if you had to be in residence.
No. Well, the thing is, you do, but you like not. You're not living there. They're not living quarters.
That's what in residence means.
Oh, okay, no. Yeah. It wasn't like that. But your day did start at 4:30, and your day did not end until 6:30. So it was way past regular school hours. Because when I was going to regular school, school ended at 3:45. Like you were done at 3:45. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There, it was like at 5:30 or some shit. And your day, because they would get you up early so that to make you run and exercise and all that bullshit, it literally started at 4:35 in the morning. You would go run and then they would take you to the showers and make sure you change and get ready for school. But it was like alternative school and shit like that. And you couldn't do, again, I'm not speaking from experience. I'm speaking from stories that I heard from people that went there. Then you had to be, like when you were there, like I said, it was like a military camp. You had to walk a certain way. You had to dress a certain way. You had to walk in a single file line, and shit like that.
Okay.
So
you keep bringing up the discipline. The only reason I asked about the military academy is there were several points in my adolescence where it was one, I almost kind of wanted to go at one point because it was I was so sick and tired of dealing with just the regular schooling because it was driving me fucking insane. But and then later on, I got threatened with being sent there, and this was right after that one kid got fucking shanked in the fucking barracks there.
Oh shit!
You hear about that? Yeah. Just like a 14-year-old got stabbed by a 16-year-old or something like that. It was a bad thing. Yeah, my cousin did go there, man. He did the summer program, so he was only there for like a month or two, and like we went and picked his ass up, and he was like, I ain't never going back there, man.
Shit, man, like it was, yeah, man. And I remember when I was, go ahead.
I was going to say, as far as the discipline goes, I think there's a lot of things that we could, all right, like I remember when I was in school, the idea of having uniforms just, it pissed me off, but I was already pissed off. You could have said we're going to make cookies and I'd have still been mad at your ass. Yeah. But I think there is definitely something to the uniforms, and not like uniforms like fucking we've got our logo on it, but just like pants, t-shirt. They got to be the same color. That's it. You know what I mean? Nothing elaborate. Like, you see some shit, polo shirts and all this. What the fuck you putting a polo shirt on a kid for? but that regimented aspect, I think at least when I was in school, and from my understanding about the few youngsters that I've spoken to in the last 10 years or so, that are, junior high school type kids, they don't have that. And there's almost an unwillingness to impart that in our educational system. And it seems not malicious. That's the wrong word. It seems arbitrary. Like, it's like, we want you to do this because we want you to do this. And it's like, no, there's little, it's like, okay, why do you do the push-ups with the fucking rifle on your hands? Well, it's not because that's going to teach you some skill, but if somebody says, hey, go do the push-ups with the rifle on your hands, you just go, okay, that's what I'm fucking doing now. You know what I mean? There is an aspect of offering a limited option set. Not saying you're restricting anybody, but you're going, rather than going, make a choice, you go, here are the choices. Yeah. You know what I mean? And if you choose, depending on what you choose, there is a different aspect to that. You know what I mean? I personally believe we should have more, not just more, but at the
Sorry about that. I was going to see. Went away.
Thought you finally figured out where that piss smell was coming from. Like, oh shit, I need to do laundry. The whole trade school aspect, like I distinctly remember being in high school, and a buddy of mine was a gearhead, man. Like, he was one of these dudes that, like, you could take your car to him and not even tell him what was wrong with it. And that motherfucker would strip it down, fix everything. And it was, 16, 15, whatever. And we had an actual, like, a mechanic shop. There was a course with a garage. They would go in, they would strip down old motors, rebuild fucking lawnmowers and shit like that. And then about, I'd say our fucking sophomore year or something, they cut back all the budget. They got rid of the garages. They had these motherfuckers doing shit out of the book, basically. And there isn't how to put this, man. Okay. You played sports in school, right?
For about 2 down. And then I had, yeah.
Yo, you didn't even stick in for like the whole year?
No, we had this conversation a couple of, quite a few.
Might have been like a year and a half back, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just two downs. I'm going to skim through it in a minute. I played football. I got down for the first down. They faked the ball to me, gave it to somebody else. They got him. That was my first play. Second play, I went. There was supposed to be a reverse to me, which it was. So half of this, I'm going to tell you what I personally experienced. The other half, I'll tell you what other people told me that they saw, because I don't remember that. So, they threw me the ball. I got it, and I remember running it on a lateral. And then this is the part that I don't remember. So, then a guy, one of the linebackers was coming. And he got me, and when he tackled me, because he tackled me hard from the side, but he tackled me to the point where he picked me up and he threw me. So I went up in the air, and then when I went up in the air, somebody hit me on the shoulder in the side. All of this is the part that I don't remember. This is what the spectators saw, because I don't remember any of this shit. So at some point there, I blacked out. But I went up in the air, they hit me on the shoulder, landed on my back or whatever, and then they took me to the back, and I woke up in the locker room and shit like that. But that's basically what happened. And then from that point forward, the coach refused me to continue to let me keep playing football, because, and they said, and I quote, which I get it, like I understand. Like they said that I was a liability to.
That's exactly the word that was running through my head.
That was a liability. So they was like, no, man, we can't
Okay.
take that risk.
Well,
So yeah, but I played sports. Let me see if I can answer your question.
Well, no, what I was going to say, if this rings true with your own experience, and this is primarily because when I actually started playing sports was in junior high, and I was going to a very small school, you know what I mean? There was a tradition, you know what I mean? And also there were few enough of us that there was a kind of sense of camaraderie, I guess. Yeah. Even the motherfuckers you didn't like were still teammate type of shit.
Yeah.
And there was a culture about it in that, like on Fridays, we would wear our game jerseys over, you know what I mean? And small shit like that. But I mean, to the point where it was like, if you walked in and had like, if your shit was wrinkled, like the teachers were calling you out on it. You know what I mean? Like you had to have there was a pride to it that instilled, like the pride wasn't the point. Fuck the pride. It's the discipline of the pride. You know what I mean? Where it's like, because I have pride in this, I will go through all of the steps and take on the obligations that go with that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that all went out the window when I got into the fucking high school program. Those motherfuckers are insane. If any of y'all are listening, you crazy bunch of bastards.
Yeah.
But the idea of having that a practice and I keep coming back to culture. There's a better word, but it's not coming to me at the moment. But that you have to take on the aspect of what you're doing. You know what I mean? You're not just going like, oh, well, you know, I play basketball now. It's like, no. You are a member of this team, and there are obligations and responsibilities that come with that outside of just playing basketball. You know what I mean? And it seems silly, and in a lot of ways it is. You can run across plenty of motherfuckers that are, you know, Cowboys fans. Anyway, there's the culture of it takes on its own thing, and then it just goes off into some weird little uselessness. But I think quintessentially having that overarching, I'm going to say you put yourself in a box, and that sounds wrong. It's not limiting. You know what? We've had this conversation as far as like, you do need boundaries that are not only recognizable to you, but that you have accepted as boundaries so that you can further yourself in those places where you haven't limited, you know, your options.
Yeah.
And that aspect, as far as the discipline, very rarely I see glimpses of it. Like, buddy of mine is he's got young kids, but like, just watching him interact with the kids and the way he disciplines them, the way he kind of checks the kids when they're doing something, you go, okay, not only do I think like my buddy's going to be a good dad, but like those kids are going to have that as a function of their toolkit as they get older. You know what I mean? Like I can already see the responsiveness in their eyes and the way they act towards it. When it's not just a matter of like, oh shit, they're mad at me. It's like, oh shit, they're mad at me because I did something wrong.
Well,
you know
it goes back to the very, very simple, bare first life skill that we learn as kids. I'm sorry, let me backtrack that we should learn as kids. So, and this goes back to psychology when I studied like with early childhood education. That's why they say that it's very crucial for you when you discipline a child that they did something wrong. The way you go about disciplining, that's up to you, and that could be up to debate. But whenever you're through, however you discipline them, whether it be with a spanking, whether it be putting them in timeout, the psychiatrists and psychologists, they say that it is very, very, very 1000% crucial that once you're done with that, no matter how young they are, you need to explain to the child why you discipline, and the answer that you should the answer that you should never tell a kid is because I said so.
I was going to bring that exact thing up.
You should never tell a kid it was because I said so. That and I will say it, and I do agree with it, just like they agreed with it. That is bad parenting. Anytime that you gotta say it's because I said so, because you're a parent and you're grown, that's not a good excuse. It just shows bad parenting on your end.
Not necessarily the flip side of that, but in a different aspect of that kind of mentality that you do see look, I understand. It's a tough fucking job, man. I've seen, moms running around with, one kid's 6, one kid's 4, and the other kid's barely out of the fucking pussy. And yeah, I get it. Sit down and lose your mind every once in a while, lady. You deserve it. But the dismissal of that obligation to explain. Like, I've seen parents get mad at other parents because they're talking to the kid and going like, okay, you got to stop doing that. We're going to go. And don't get me wrong, you could take that too far where you're like, I told you, now you're going to get a timeout. And it's like, you're not, whatever. You're an ineffectual person, but that's neither here nor there. But I've seen parents yell at those people, be like, stop talking to them. Just get them. I think it's almost a refusal, because you can't be that fucking ignorant to think that this little human being can't even if they can't understand the words, they can understand you.
I'm not gonna lie to you, man, but I know of someone specifically that they've told me, oh, don't do that. They don't understand. They literally told me this. I was like, no, they do understand. And if you let them keep getting away with it, they're gonna turn 6 and 7. They're gonna do the same shit, and you're not gonna like it.
Dude, I've heard 4. Like, there's a lot of people who say if your kid gets to 4 and can't comprehend that they might be an asshole, you failed your child.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, again, going back to it, like, no matter how young the child is, like, it's very crucial to let the kid know what they, it shouldn't even be that hard to understand as a grown fucking person. It's very simple. Even if you tell a grown person, hey man, don't do that. Like, motherfucker, I need you to explain to me. I mean, not unless it's blatantly like I'm trying to grab fire or some shit. I need you to explain why what I did was wrong. It's the same for a kid, because if you don't explain that to them, then you're just gonna confuse the shit out of them. It's like, okay,
you know what the fucking that because I said so shit leads to, man, is the exact problem, or one of the major fucking flaws that we have in law enforcement in our society is and you can go out and find countless fucking videos from annoying to fucking tragic of, the cop goes, well, now you're under arrest. It's like, wait, what? Like, talk to me here. You know what I mean? Speak to me like a fucking human being.
Yeah.
And I was trying to have that conversation with somebody a while back, and they were like, what? You think it was the case at the Wendy's. I forget the man's name at the moment, but my issue with it was the way they just flipped on him. They went from having a conversation with him to all of a sudden you got your hand on his wrist and you're going to fucking...
Yeah.
And he's still trying to talk to him, and, that... All right, what I said was basically... or what I got asked was like, oh, you think they should just announce that they're going to arrest you? It's like, yeah. You go, hey, Freddy, sorry, man, but we're going to have to arrest you now. You can step over here to the vehicle and we can do this very calmly, and say at that point you take off running. It's like, well, I've already patted you down for weapons, and fuck it. We got your car.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do?
Like you have to. Yeah. I'm 100% with that. And my thing is, I go a step further. Even if you tell me that you're going to arrest me, okay, fine. It's not may I know. It's like, okay, no, motherfucker. Now you tell me why. If I don't know, like, if you're a cop, and if I didn't hit you in the face, try to take your gun, or did something obvious for you to arrest me, then I need you to tell me why you're arresting me. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then, as a human being, fuck being an American citizen, as a fucking human being, I have the right, say, okay, go ahead, cuff me. Like they always fucking tell you. For your protection and for mine, I'm gonna have to cuff you. So that's fine. Cuff me. But if I still don't understand clearly after you're cuffing me why you're arresting me, as a human being, I still have a right for you to explain to me why exactly it is that you're arresting me. And then we could take me from there, and then you book me, and then
I firmly believe there should be an don't be wrong. There are quick second emergency circumstances.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, but if I'd have already went and I socked the officer and I try to take their gun, at this point their life is in danger. So then I understand skipping the whole shit of this is why I'm arresting you, and hold on because this shit's not gonna work.
Okay, I'll rewind it back even further than that, man. More often than not, and I've actually seen this firsthand, and like I don't know if you've ever been in those situations where you have to like turn to your buddy and go, "Dude, shut the fuck up and stop fucking fighting them."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But the whole I got to patch you down for weapons, and you get that. Whoa, hold on, why you got it? It's like, look, I think there should be a obligation on the officer to have to articulate. It's like, look, sir, there's not an option here.
I've literally, when we got pulled over, well, I've been, but not me. I was in the passenger side. We got pulled over, and I told him, cause he had had encounters with the police, but not, I had an open container, damn it, me, but I wasn't.
You were fully aware that handcuffs were probably going to be involved.
Yeah, exactly. So I had an open container. What saved me, just to take the suspense out of the story, is I had not drank out of it yet at all. So there was no alcohol in my system. It was just open. I had just opened it, and it was my first beer. Luckily, that rarely happened. But so I was there, and he panicked as soon as we pulled over, and I was like, "Dude, pull over." And he was like shitting bricks. He's like, and I was like, dude, relax. You're not drinking. Just, relax. What was going to make it more difficult is the fact that I literally had to instruct to him what to do before the police did so that the situation didn't escalate. So this is the passenger side. This is the driver's side. And I was like, dude, cause he was like, holy shit. And I was like, dude, put both hands on the steering wheel and do not let that motherfucker go. And I was like, roll down the window, put your hands on the steering wheel. Oh no, I'm lying. I told him, roll down all four windows, put both hands on the steering wheel, and do not move those motherfuckers at all. And whatever you do, don't make any sudden moves. And lastly, do not answer anything else outside of what the police officer asks you.
Never volunteer information.
That is the biggest mistake. Do not get indicted 101. There's some situations where this doesn't apply. When you're fucked, you're fucked.
All right, we're coming up on the end here real quick, but I wonder if you've seen this one, man. There's a video of a lawyer and a former law enforcement officer where the lawyer goes up first, does a whole 15, 20 minutes, 45, I can't remember, where he's basically explaining, the gist of what he's saying is don't talk to the cops. Don't get me wrong, you provide them with your identification, and then am I being detained? Yes. Am I being arrested? Yes. Okay, I'm invoking the Fifth Amendment. I wish to speak to my lawyer. But here's the thing.
That's where I was going.
The lawyer goes up first and explains all this. Then the fucking former law enforcement comes up and he starts off with this whole like, there's a lot of laws. We've probably all broken some law at some. Has anybody here just ever broken a law? And people start to like raise their hand. The lawyer comes marching back up on stage. He goes, "Don't talk to the fucking cops." And it's a beautiful fucking thing if you've never seen it. It pops up every once in a while.
If y'all don't know by this time, I mean, and I'm also speaking to those you hardcore fucking Americans die hard for this country. If y'all don't understand your Fifth Amendment, please go read up on that shit. That shit will really fucking help you.
Okay.
When it's crunch time.
There are let's say 3 points.
By the way, just last thing I want to throw in there with that. The Fifth Amendment, there's debate. There is debate. But if you go back and look at the original case, aside from Johnny Cochran being a damn good fucking lawyer, the Fifth Amendment is what fucking got O.J. Simpson off. Just so
there was also the evidence tampering.
Yeah, but we don't know that. Well, technically.
Sure. Mark Furman might be a nice guy.
To this day, we don't know if he did it or not. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is,
if he did it,
what I'm saying is, you have a point. But what I'm saying is that technically, we even today we don't know that. What we do know is that he used his Fifth Amendment to the fullest, and that's really what got his defense, his defense going.
I'll be honest, if it was me huddled down in the back of that Bronco, I'd have been on the phone with the lawyer working out a game plan.
But to be honest with you, a lot of that has to do with Johnny Cochran. Johnny Cochran was one hell of a fucking lawyer. I'm so sorry that he's dead, because there's a lot of people that could use him right now.
What I was going to say was there are just I'll leave it at this. 3 points if you're going to tell your kids anything about how to deal with the cops. 1, no sudden movements. 2, they can search you for weapons. And 3, you don't have to answer any questions.
Correct. You exactly. And one last thing that I will go out and say. A lot of people are afraid to say it, but if you go back and research it, there is nothing in the law that says that when you get pulled over in a traffic stop, that you cannot, and I will repeat it, that you cannot means that you can't do it, that you cannot record. That you cannot record your traffic stop.
Record every interaction with the police.
Yeah. So that is your right as a person. You can record your just if you do fucking record it and some fucked up shit happens, just make sure you don't lose that shit. So because if you lose it, then you're fucked.
Yeah. Oh, I got pissed the other day. I figured out that my fucking my camera won't work if the phone's locked. So I can't turn the camera on and then lock the phone. It stops recording.
Oh, shit.
It's fucking useless.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Man, that's a whole... Dude, I came in with... be honest, this was a fun little conversation, man. This was unstressful, and I was expecting to come in here and just start spitting fire about the bullshit I've been fucking, digging through. Yeah, man, like I've said before, I read too much motherfucking news.
Yeah, that's
not healthy.
Good. Yeah, it's definitely not. It'll do nothing good and everything bad for your stress levels.
Oh yeah, cortisol through the roof.
And speaking of stress levels, I'm hungry.
Well, tell them where you're going to be, Freddy, or tell them where they can find you. I should say.
It's at night, hopefully at IHOP again.
But on social media.
No, I'm kidding. But on social media, I'm still on Instagram. You can still catch me on that Instagram. I posted some shit earlier this week. I've been hitting the gym again. I just I didn't do it to show off. I did it for motivation. That's what specifically I put in the caption. So you can still find me on Instagram for now.
You can find me at hatfieldstandup@gmail.com, as well as Hatfield Standup on Facebook and Twitter. You can find the audio episodes on shoutengine.com/bouncing brains, as well as on Stitcher. You can also listen to new episodes at 5 p.m. every Friday on rgvtitanradio.com. You can watch the video episodes on YouTube. Search for Bouncing Brains. And there was... Scatterbrain like a motherfucker. I believe that might be it. If you want to reach out and talk to us, if you want to reach out and touch us, you better have fucking money in your pocket. But if you'd like to...
And a lawyer present. I ain't getting Me Too this time. Fuck that.
Oh, it's cool. I'm getting the consent forms printed up.
Shit. Make sure you edit that out. I said this time. Those two words were completely out of place. You know what I'm saying? I have not ever touched anybody unconsensually, I promise you. They all knew what they were getting themselves into. Even that lady at the nursing home. She was 33. She was visiting her grandma.
I have never fucked nor fought anybody without consent. But if you'd like to get in touch with us, bouncingbrainspodcast@gmail.com, as well as Bouncing Brains Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And that may be it. Thank you for listening, folks.
And until next time, keep it tight.